Howdy guys! This is another video where I am talking at you because I actually got a request because I have a lot of these super large chunks of foam and I have been like cutting them into smaller chunks and turning them into like little shapes that I can use for ASMR page on Instagram. Like I have a bunch of chunks that are like this size, but I am going to be showing you how I turn these chunks into the shapes that I have. So, starting off from the really big triangle bits, I just usually use a really large kitchen knife and I'll cut it into more manageable pieces. So I have a lot of pieces that are this size right now. And then, since I'm going to be showing you guys a really simple shape today, I took one of these that I had because they're really, really thick and I cut it in half because the thinner the pieces are, the more workable they are. So I took one of these and I cut it in half. So I ended up with something like this, and it's a lot smaller, it's a lot easier to hold in your hand and everything like that, and that's where you're going to start with making your shapes. So what you want to do first is make a sketch, and as you can see I've already done that here. We're going to be making a heart because it's actually really simple. So I just used like as much of the space available as I could. Like I went really close to the edges, like as far as I could. And then from this point, you're going to want to take like really sharp scissors because if they're super dull, they're not going to want to cut through your foam because it is really thick and really dense. But from this part right here, when you have your sketch, you just want to go and take out like all of the negative space, and it doesn't have to look pretty or anything like that. You just need to get rid of it. And I have this basket right here to like catch all of the pieces so they're not just going everywhere, even though they're still flying away from me. But from there, just make sure you can still see your outline on the top. Like, don't cut too far in just yet. This is just to block out the main shape. Like, this is the easy part. And then for angles like this, what I like to do is I go in with the very, like, base of the scissors and snip kind of far, but not too far. Like, you can kind of hear it cut through because you don't want to go all the way into your shape, and you hold it all the way down. You cut deep in there, and then you can just like rip that out of the negative space. And you should be left with something like this. And it's really rough, obviously. It's not pretty yet because that's all this is you're trying to like block out the shape that you want. And then once you have a rough shape, you can start going in and fine-tuning with smaller cuts and smoothing out the shape. And that's what I'm going to be doing here. Really, really thin cuts. Because the smaller your cuts are, the less room there is for error. Because with this kind of project, what you want to do is take away less than you think. Because you can always take away more, but you can't put it back. Like, mistakes are pretty hard to repair. So, like, a lot of doing this is just patience. for curves and things, if you lay the scissors down flat and then rotate your wrist up, you can get the bits that are sitting on curves without cutting too much. That's how I like to do that kind of thing, so I'm not overdoing it. Gonna clean up this top part here. And now, since all the way around you can pretty much see the shape that I'm going for, I'm going to go on both of the edges on this side and on this side, and I'm just going to cut at an angle like this. Basically just cut all of the edges off. So I'm going to do that on this side. I'm going to flip it over and do it on the other side. Make sure it's like kind of evenish around. Then I'm going to do it on this side. Alright, and from here, this is where you get into like the fine tuning and making it look really smooth and really pretty. So from this point, what I like to do is, since you have like a flat edge right here and the two smaller bits, I go and I trim the edges of the edges. I know it seems redundant, but it works for me. So trim the edges of the edges to kind of make everything look a little tiny bit more uniform. And see, you can kind of see like the dome shape starting to form here. So we're going to do that on the other side too. Just going to cut off the edges of the edges. This side right here is going to give me problems. It's been wonky this whole time. But that is okay. Just going to do that. I'm going to cut this top edge a bit. Alright, and now we can kind of see the edges and everything forming. And from here on, it's all just cleanup. So I'm going to go any sharp point that I see that I'd like rounded out, I'm just going to give that a light snip. And since I do want this to be rounded, I'm just going to make sure I keep that curve with the scissor blades, so I'm not cutting too far in so it doesn't end up too angular. And this is a more basic shape because it's it's pretty much like 2D, I guess. You know, like it's flat. I'm not trying to put like a whole bunch of rounded details into it and everything like that. But that is how you do that, and I will come back when this is finished. So let me just Alrighty. And there we go. This is what I ended up with, and obviously, you know, the longer you sit and the longer you trim, the smoother your things will become. It's just kind of really hot back here because I'm filming this in the back of my car. But after all of the cleanup and all of the trimming, I might go through and like smooth this top bit out a bit more, you know, just because. But now I have a cute little heart shape that I can do ASMR videos with. And once you do this for a while, you can make like more complicated shapes. You can make larger things, you can make smaller things. Like these right here, I have some really, really small hearts. I'm really excited about these in particular because I put stud backs on them and I'm going to paint them pink and they're going to be mushy earrings. And like all of these sponge bits I like to use to restuff pillows or make my own like little dolls with button eyes, and I just think it's a lot of fun. It's a good pastime. It's very relaxing. And then after I'm done with like the shaping and everything, I always make sure to wash all of the foam so it's all clean and good and sanitary and all that good stuffs. But I just think it's really fun, and somebody requested to see how I make these shapes, so I decided that I would just go ahead and film a video for you guys. I know this isn't my usual content, but if you wanted to see more things like this or tutorials for like more complicated shapes, or if you had a specific request, don't hesitate to leave that down below, because if I can make it happen, I would definitely love to do that for you guys, because this was a lot of fun for me, even though it's not my usual content. So if y'all have any more ideas like this, feel free to leave them for me and I will do the best that I can. But for now, I'm going to film a couple videos, put on my Instagram. Follow my Instagram, SoftSpongeASMR _ between each word. And then I'm probably going to go back inside because it is hot. I am sweaty. But you do what you can with what you got. But yeah, so this is actually really simple, and if anybody tries anything like this, definitely let me see, because I would love to see what you folks come up with, because I don't know like of anybody else that just like shapes their foam. So if you do this, if you try this, I want to see. Tag me in your stuff. Deuces.